for once in my life, Hagen. I'm sorry. I don't know what you want from me.
Okay, sorry.
How are you, Hagen?
I'm doing well.
Pretty good.
Yeah, nothing to
How's the
complain about.
R&D world treating you?
Treating me well. Just chugging away on some projects. We do have something pretty exciting coming around the bend, though. So next week there'll be
On the band?
next week a little announcement for something. I guess I can. Well, he's not listening, so I can say it's a challenge, new challenge. I'm not gonna say
Ooh.
exactly what it is, but
Have any sneak peek for listeners so they can
that's
start
kind of the sneak
brainstorming
peek.
ideas?
No, I don't want to give too much away. I didn't consult with James Donald Holmes on what exactly I'm allowed to say or not. So,
That's
but it's a new challenge, so it'll be exciting. I think it's a really neat one, and I think it'll get people very excited and get them back to the innovation station because we've been had a little bit of a dry spell on idea submissions. So it'll be nice to get people back on there.
That's pretty exciting.
What about you? What's going on in the VDC world?
Oh, a lot.
Oh,
Busy. We're in April.
that is true.
You know what they say about April? The month of the fools. Not if you noticed, but I tried to prank you by dressing in the same,
Yes, I
you
happened to
did.
notice, and
even the post.
I
Uh-oh.
mirrored you by accident
Uh-oh.
because it's very comfortable. We got new chairs. I don't know if we.
We did.
Yeah, you like them?
So far, so good.
Yeah. Okay.
But in my VDC world, pretty busy. I know next week we're getting together to have our first quarterly meeting. We get to kind of just all three offices, four offices, all the offices, come together just to kind of review our OKRs and initiatives that we set ourselves up at the beginning of the year.
That's pretty nifty.
So that'll be next week.
I do that my whole department comes together almost every day.
Oh, it's really?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty
Pretty
nice.
exciting.
That's exciting.
Yeah, but
Wish we had that.
well, I think it's a
option.
bad thing. Well, it's a good and bad thing,
Why,
right?
You don't want to see your boss every day?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But that means we're small, right? So we want to grow. We want to be a little bit bigger.
Well,
Um,
that's exciting. And apart from that, I think you were part of this last week.
What?
We were invited by the University of Austin.
University of Texas
So
at Austin,
that's right,
Okay.
University of Texas at Austin.
place you spent
This-
4 years
yeah,
or whatnot.
I gave it half my money. But we went there and we were judging some sustainable doghouses built
Hmm.
by students.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was there.
I know.
And Rebecca Yamas, and
Maddie Smith.
Madison Smith. Yes.
So you should be seeing a post about it in social media,
Oh, really?
hopefully soon.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm not gonna be in the post.
No,
Okay. Oh,
take any photos with you in it?
one.
There you go.
All right. Sweet.
Well, that's everything's on my world.
Okay. Well, great.
Oh. Here we have some sports news.
Well, we were fishing for some stories out in the crowd here in the little annex, and so just some updates about things going on in the world. So we have the Masters is going on, I think now, but this weekend. So look out for that, and then the NCAA basketball is over. UConn won for the men's, and then LSU for the women's. So if you hadn't seen those things or know those things, I didn't know about any of those three things until about 30 minutes ago. So now you know. Now everyone knows.
Exciting.
Yeah. Are you a big golf fan, basketball fan? Did you know those things?
I knew the March Madness was happening. I didn't know it
Well,
was
it's over now.
Yeah.
Now it's April awareness. I don't know. I was trying to think of an
April
alliteration.
awareness.
Yeah.
Oh.
April AI month. Is that a real thing? No, it's not a real thing.
No, I didn't know. That basketball and golf are not my go-to sports.
What's your
so
go-to sport?
I'm a big tennis fan.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Any opens coming up?
no, the closest one might be the French Open, but that's a little closer to May.
Oh, okay. So we got a month or so.
Yeah, other than that, nothing too much. If anything, it's not a major, but it's the Indian Wells in California.
Indian Wells?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Isn't that Federer's thing? No, that was the last one he played in, right? There's something about Federer. Nope. I'm misspeaking. I'll just stick to the I know sports.
Yes, there you go.
Much better than the no sports.
And I see you also have fun facts about today in history.
Today in history, yes.
Can I share those?
Sure. Pocahontas, she married not John Smith. Common misconception because of the movie, which I know you're a big fan of.
Colors to the Wind. Sing that in the shower every morning.
I did. Oh, yeah.
You did
I
too?
I said,
Oh,
yeah,
wow,
this
we did it
morning I
together?
was just
Oh, wow.
belting it out. But no, she's marries John Rolfe. I say this because it's actually a trivia question at my last week's trivia that I went to. Interesting. And we got it right. Not because of me, but because of my fiance who likes that movie a lot. And George Washington issued the first veto in American history today. many years ago. I don't remember how many.
What's today's date?
The 5th, because it's also, I don't have it on here, but today in history in 1957, Rodney Raymond Fritz, my father, was born. So
Oh,
shout out to my dad, who knows nothing about this podcast. So,
not yet. Not
no,
yet.
no. And then more of my heritage, because it's
Uh,
just all about me,
An
right?
episode about
Yeah, this
you.
15
You
minutes is
take
all
this
about me.
guest chair and just.
Well, I think, yeah, I would. No, well, whatever. Anyway, Dutch explorer, because I'm Dutch, that's why I said. Jacob Roggeveen, I believe. I had the computer pronounce
the
it
Dutch
for me, and I
guy.
forgot. I know. I don't think there's any. It's probably like Roggeveen, that WV thing. He discovered Easter Island, and he named it. Well, he's the first European to discover it. I'm sure other people had discovered Easter Island at that point, but he named it because of what's happening this weekend, other than the Masters.
Easter.
Yes, he discovered it on Easter Sunday, so that's why he named it. I was always curious that's why it's called Easter Island. I know it has the big heads, right? I think those little like statues, right? The wooden statues.
Bunnies?
No,
Oh.
I mean, they might have bunnies there. I don't know, but he named it because he found it on Easter Island.
Oh, that's exciting.
Those are just some fun facts for you. Some things going around. Speaking of things going around,
We're building around the world with our new segment.
Oh, we are! Wow.
I know in this week's news, I know wanted to share how apparently there's a Artemis mission by NASA
Oh,
where they're trying to build a AI space factory that they'll be creating a 3D printed base camp named Luna, which stands for Lunda Infrastructure Asset.
I wonder why it's not lunar. Why is it Lunda? I don't know.
Send them a letter.
Okay, I'll send him a letter.
But this it's aiming for 2028. So
That's actually closer than that rail that I talked about last month,
I know. So
last week.
on your spare time at night, just look up at the moon and be like, huh, there'll be something 3D printed there.
So you're saying, so the factory is going to be 3D printed, and then what's the AI part of the space factory? Like, is it creating other things?
So now they're just building, I think, the base camp.
Okay.
Not a factory, just a base camp.
Okay.
Astronauts to hang out in.
Oh, okay. It's fun up there, I hear. On the world.
So actually, again, it's called the Artemis mission. If you want to look it up,
Okay, Artemis. I feel like they've already done Artemis.
I feel like they've done a lot of things already. But
Hopefully they do more.
that was our
Run out of money.
building over the world. Fun
It is?
story.
Oh.
Unless you have anything else.
I don't know. I mean, I do, but I don't. So we'll save it.
Well, I think it's time to.
Oh, it's time to introduce our guest. We have to stop talking.
I don't know.
Okay. Oh, we got
Oh,
5 minutes.
wow.
We can introduce our guest. I mean, he's a pretty interesting guy.
I think so.
Yeah, he's probably more interesting than us.
Well, what do you know about the guest? You've been here 8 months now.
I know
Not to
he's
put you in the spot.
tall,
He's
and I
tall.
know he's at Cambria. Ta-da! That's about, and I know his name, and I know he's about to get married. Just got married. He's flicking me off over there. Oh, wrong finger.
Showing
Wrong
you
finger.
the ring. Showing you.
Just got married, I think, though, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
he went on his honeymoon recently, I believe. Those are the things I know about him.
Well, let me tell a little
Could
bit
it
about him.
be? Okay.
He has led the RO Rocket kickball team to almost 2 championships. For sure one. The last one was a
I don't know
little.
why you chose that finger to show you and the other one to show me.
Last one was debatable. Yeah. I was on the bench, so I didn't get to play. So
Oh, yeah.
I think my kick would have led us to victory.
Maybe.
Just kidding.
We'll never know.
I'm more of a hype man.
Okay. I can see that.
But our guest, I don't want
Yes.
to almost give it away. He's a great leader and he's a very optimistic coach as well. So if you're interested in joining the kickball team next fall, I'm sure he'll be leading the team again. Hopefully, he will. I just got the nod.
Okay. We got
and-
the green light.
The green light. And then he's just the type of friend you want. Whenever fists go up at a bar, you want him
Good
on
to know.
your side of the ring.
Okay.
Not really to fight, but to cool down your jets and
Oh, okay.
probably evacuate the area.
So the fists are just there to
You scare them.
grab a towel and you wipe your sweat off. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That's how you grab.
Well, you
towels.
say fists, and I don't know. He didn't fight anybody, so
No, he's a peaceful man.
it's hard to think on the spot.
You're doing great. You're doing
Okay.
great. But you know what I said. You can't spell a good time without Zach in it. So that's what he does.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think
I
that's
think
right.
it has
Yeah,
some
yeah, I
letters,
see
right?
it. I see the spelling.
I know coming out, you say over 6 feet. I don't know his actual height.
4. He's 4 feet.
4 feet tall?
Yeah, 4
Shoot,
feet, that's
I
right.
had my notes wrong. But coming at over 6 feet, he kind of makes me feel like Kevin Hart when I stand next to him because I had to look up
Mm.
and bend my neck. But but without further ado, he's the authentic, outgoing, and brother from another mother,
Hmm.
Zach Coker. Yay, Zach!
Right after this commercial, we'll get it. We'll get it.
We'll get it.
Hagen, I have a conundrum here.
What's that?
We have so many great people at RO, and I just wish there was a way I could just give them a little pat in the back, a high five, or one of these. Not a gig 'em, but a thumbs up.
Right.
Do you know what I could do?
Yes, I do. Have you heard of this thing called motivosity?
Motivosity?
Yes, it's like motivate and
Curiosity.
curiosity. Yes,
Where could I find this? Is it an app, paper, bird?
it's a little web app, a portal, if you will, that you can find on the internet. So on the company apps, as well as at ro.motivosity.com. You just type that in your little web browser, and it's a nice little portal. You can find any employee at RO, and you can search them up, and you can give them that little kudos that you were looking for.
Is this kudos a note? Is there some monetary attached to it? Is there a gift? Or how does it, what can I send them?
Right. It's a little note, and what's really neat is you can actually tag what core value that person, that employee embodied. It can be a single person, multiple people, and then you have a little bit of funds that you can dip into that RO gives you every month, and you can actually give them $1 or $2.
And what can I do with all the Motivosity bucks that I get?
Well, you can amass that, and then you can dump it into something like a gift card, Amazon, Target, any of those, or you can actually buy things like on the RO store, right? So pretty much the sky's the limit on what you can do with that money.
That's very exciting. Thanks, Hagen. I think you solved my problem.
I think so.
I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes sending some bucks to people.
I hope so. Hope I'm one of them.
And the place is called Motivosity?
Motivosity.
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 Where you can acknowledge, encourage, and celebrate one another.
It's a little on the toasty side, isn't it?
It's very hot.
You know, I think having those doors closed isn't helping us any, but I also don't know that the entire marketing team and VDC team want to listen to us talk every Wednesday for an hour.
That's true. Are those soundproof doors?
It's an highly doubt it, given that they're glass.
That's They make sound we paid up for our glass on at Cambria. That was a big thing. We had one of our first meetings. Owner walked into the building. We were having this whole discussion on, okay, how much do we want to spend on glass? And you could hear, since we're right on I-35, you could just hear traffic. And come 5 o'clock, we had just gotten out of a meeting, and you just hear everyone honking.
Oh,
And
man.
we had heard, we were telling them a story about it, like, oh yeah, no, we heard a fender bender the other day. It was brutal. And the guy looks at us, he's like, let's spend the 30 extra grand. Let's get the good glass.
Sounds worthwhile. Man, well, Mr. Zach Coker,
Yeah,
thank you for joining us today. Came all the way over from the lovely Cambria project.
really excited to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for that wonderful intro. That was incredible.
I don't know. Bruno seems to, I don't know if he forgets or
Mm.
doesn't realize, like, we send out an invite for these and it has your name in there.
Yep.
And whenever you go to the YouTube link and everyone's sitting there watching this, it has your name
It does.
in there.
In fact,
So I don't know if he doubts people's ability to read or just trying to, build up some suspense or what. I like it, whatever it is,
Yeah.
because it gets me going.
it was great, and it got me ready to start going.
Yeah.
So I'm loosened up after watching that.
Perfect. Well, we're super excited to have you here, especially I think we've had a lot of more senior level people in lately. We had Jennifer Gonzalez on, and we had Kevin Porter on last week and all that. So it's nice to get someone a little more in the weeds nowadays
Yeah.
on here. This will be a good talk.
Yeah, I was watching a couple of the videos and seeing all the higher up execs, some really important people. So when I got the call, I was excited. New guy on the block. I've been here for 5-year anniversary starts in June. So
Congratulations, man. That's
yeah.
exciting.
definitely in the weeds more so than, Kramer or Ash if they're watching.
Yeah. I know Grammer watches all of these, so he'll catch that at some
Great.
point. Well, congratulations on 5 years. I think you get a jacket at that point, right? Or I say a
Yeah,
jacket, you get your
I think I get the sticker.
sticker. Okay. Well, stay in there. You'll get a
yeah.
jacket at some point.
Losing real estate on the hard hat. Lots of stickers now.
So you've been here for 5 years, Zach. What do you love about RO? Go ahead, just rotate that like
Just rotate
10
this
degrees.
a
There we go.
little.
That's
There we
perfect.
go.
Right on the money.
So like I said, I watched a couple of these before to prepare, and it's the same answer as everyone else. Best thing about RO is the people. It's always, since I've been here, it's been the people. Bruno touched on it. I'm the head coach of the company kickball team. We play at Tuesdays, anywhere from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. throughout the fall. It's a really good time to get together with, kind of the under 35s of the company. Lots of office engineers, quality managers, assistant, PM, and supers. Just drink, play some kickball, get competitive, talk about the issues you're having on the jobs and what's going well, what's going poorly, and just learn a lot from your coworkers. Everyone's it's the fun thing about construction. Everyone's just pretty down to earth. No one's trying to play gotcha. It's a very the community of ROs. Everyone's trying to help each other. Everyone's trying to just make sure everyone's project goes as well as possible. So, and you feel that. So, the people.
If you had asked me to guess what some of the positive impacts of playing kickball as a company would be, I would have never guessed that there's like this information sharing going on of projects and lead times or whatever.
100%. No, I make sure to ask like Lily Manas or Nick Vargo, Brandon Arias, like if I have a sequence coming up that I know that they've been a part of before, they're always going to tell you more after the third or fourth Bud Light. So
I feel like that goes for most things in life.
So you're going to get to the real nitty gritty issues. And I mean, sometimes it's just easier talking to people on your same skill level. Sometimes, and people just want to help, but sometimes people can, you ask someone that's been doing it for 10, 15 years, like, hey, I'm about to run an MEP sequence for the first time. What do I need to look out? Like, what am I not seeing in the submittal that's going to come bite me in the butt? They're going to list you off a whole, 10, 15 years of experience on every single little thing that came and bit them. Whereas, you ask somebody closer to your age, closer to your experience level, and they're going to give you like the three big things. Like, everything else will figure itself out. Make sure you do these three things and it will go way smoother. So, the experience is always nice, but sometimes it's a little easier talking to, your friends.
Sure. And that, I'm positive none of those people have any malintent, but I also think there's some, those that have those 10, 15, 20 years of experience. I think of how things were being built 10, 15 years ago, and so much has changed. Yeah. They may just not, I would imagine that doing a Procore and submittal, doing a submittal in Procore is going to be that process is going to be a bit different. The content may be the same, right? But how you go about it is going to be a bit different. Someone like a Lily or a Brandon or what have you has been through that and going to be able to tell you, hey, watch out for this, or make sure you check these boxes, or use these district groups. I don't know, but
exactly.
It's an interesting point that I think is probably undervalued by folks that don't take the time to kind of take a step back and ask the questions.
It's wild how even quickly, like, I've only been here for 5 years, and my project engineer Colby, there are some things that he'll ask me a question and I start explaining it, and I'm like, oh, I'm going way too deep. That's not what he asked. Like, I need to bring it down a level. He and really explain the nitty gritty of like, okay, this is what you're trying to accomplish. This is how you get it done. So yeah, trying not to be too verbose, which I have a very big problem with. And yeah, just trying to guide people along the right way is a big thing.
So speaking of taking a step back, you've been here for 5 years now. How did you end up at RO? Where'd you come from?
So I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, born and raised. Went to Ole Miss. I think I'm the only person at the company that went to. I was the first Ole Miss hire at Rogers O'Brien, to my knowledge, and I think I'm still the only one. So that's a lot of fun. Getting to talk smack, sending company-wide emails to all the Aggies whenever we whoop them up in football. So yeah, I interned, and we'll get to this part later. I don't have a construction degree. I'm not a co-sci major or anything like that. I have a business management degree from Ole Miss. but I started early with internships with construction companies. Freshman year, summer, I worked as a laborer, wheelbarrow, picking up trash, sweeping floors, and wrecking forms for a concrete sub. Yeah, it was rough. I lost a lot of weight. And then that superintendent, he was very much like Denny Densmore, like rough old man, liked the way I worked.
How
so
dare you talk about Denny like that? He is a pristine
he's-
example
if
of a
he's-
human being.
If he's watching this, I'm sure he smiled at that. So yeah, he liked the way I work. So he said, "Hey, come back next year. We'll make you an intern and show you how what a construction company actually does." Because I literally just swept floors, wrecked forms. So started that next summer doing RFIs and submittals for a church. Was there all summer for it. Went back in that December. Ole Miss has like a 6 or 7 week Christmas break.
Wow.
So yeah, it'd pay for spring break every year. So yeah, I do summers and winters. Probably had about like a year and a half total of actual job site experience by the time I started looking for a job. Met my now wife, then girlfriend at Ole Miss. She's from Los Angeles. I'm from Dallas. Neither of us wanted to move to each other's hometowns. So we decided Austin was the best place. And I was like, all right, time to start figuring out what GCs are in Austin. The guy at the company I was interning for has a long relationship with Alan and Mike. So got me an interview and I am here now.
I'm no geographer, but I'm pretty sure Austin isn't between LA and Dallas. So
She's watching. Don't. You're going to get me in trouble.
that's awesome, Zach. I think in particular the fact that as someone who also spent time sweeping slabs, wrecking forms, and framing houses and things like that, I can appreciate that whenever you do those things, it gives you an appreciation for the folks that are out there. Whenever you are reviewing submittals or RFIs or whatnot, I think it creates a greater level of empathy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like, do we really need to two-side that wall, or like, can we go with earth forming it or whatever?
Seeing the hurt, we'll also get into this later, but seeing the hurt in someone's eyes when they have to redo something because you miss something on some page on a 90-page submittal, it hurts because I've been there and had to redo stuff myself. So it's not a fun feeling.
So you mentioned you went to Ole Miss and you had a business major. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Business management.
Business management.
Yeah.
How do you think that having that degree in particular has made you into a particular asset within the construction industry?
Not per se for my current role. I think as I continue to progress, superintendent, and possibly project manager in the future, I think it will. But as far as looking over submittals and RFIs, I think the best way to really learn that stuff and learn how things are built is being on a job site. My major was mostly supply chain, HR. I took a couple of entrepreneurship courses, so like making business plans. So like whenever I get to the point where I'm in those proposal meetings, like I've already had to make my own proposals for businesses in school, but the timing will be so far off by that time. We'll see what I remember and what's changed.
I'm sure there'll still be something up in there.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you're at a disadvantage not having that construction science background?
Not at all. That was actually one of the questions that Alan and Mike asked me during my interview. I flipped it on them. I said it made me more humble. So knowing that I didn't have that major, knowing that everything that I know is from previous experiences and what I've been taught by someone that's not working for the company that I'm interviewing for, I was like, I'm going to come in and try to soak everything up. Like, yes, I'm asking questions. I'm going to ask you questions. I want to know how things are built. I want to know how we do this. How do you do this, Rogers O'Brien? And they both smiled and liked that answer, so it worked out. But
I love hearing it sitting here today. I don't think it's too much of an issue at RO, but there's certainly a group of people who come out, whether it be a civil engineering or a mechanical engineering or construction science or whatever, and they feel like I spent
Yeah.
4 years in school, 5-6 years in school, 8 years in school.
Mhm.
I know what I'm doing. I can rock and roll with this. And they get out there and they're not asking questions. They're not learning
Mhm.
because they're not asking questions, and that's what terrifies me.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we
don't-
see it all the time during plan review and stuff. You know, you can sit down at a desk and write a whole mechanical system and put it on a plan. Be like, this works. You know, does it really? Like, what are you not seeing? Like, you know, because there are so many other. You know, being the GC, being the general contractor, we have to know a little bit about everything, as opposed to being like specifically a civil engineer, a mechanical engineer, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, yeah, some people can sometimes come in pigeonholed, um, and don't look at the bigger picture, which is what we get paid to do.
so interesting because I hadn't really thought about. Just had this thought now, but like they might look at that plan and say, whether it be duct plan or fire protection, where they say, "Oh, this works." Be like, right, it works for you.
Yeah.
Does it work for the project?
Mm-mm.
How does this integrate with all the other systems? How does it integrate with the building? Does it actually, I'm thinking HVAC in particular, like, do you have vents in sensible places, or is this a hotel where you have a register right over the head of the bed and someone's
Mhm.
getting blasted with cold air all night?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe it's a short run from the VAV or whatever, but this isn't sensible, right? Nobody wants that.
Exactly.
That's a fantastic point. I love your open mindset and willingness to be wrong and to learn and grow.
Yeah.
That's I think one of the
And
most valuable qualities anyone can have.
Yeah, and there are definitely times on this. Did I I was part of the BIM process for the first time on this job, and you know you're extending duct, moving stuff around, and you know all you're hearing in the back of your head is the mechanical PM being change order this, change order that. You're making the duct run longer. Oh my gosh, stop it, shut up. But then you think I'm like, no, I need to get this duct here somewhere because I have these 10-foot tall storefront windows here, and this and in August, that spot right there is going to be hotter than hell, and I need AC. So I don't care. I don't care how much it costs. In order to give you a good product, Mr. Owner, Mr. Developer, Mrs. Developer, you know, we need to have AC there, and this is what it's going to cost.
Yeah, it's about finding that common ground, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm sure that HVAC contractor, like they want to get paid, they want to have a good reputation, they want to do more work with RO. You want to make sure the client's happy. You want to make sure it goes in on schedule, on budget. Be like, we're all trying to build this thing, right?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, we want people to come in here, be happy with what they have.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me that we can't do this because we need to extend duct. Well, are there other ways that we could move other things around so that we don't extend the duct so far?
Mhm.
Maybe it's cheaper to extend a line set rather than extend a duct 10 foot or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like you need to be open to having those conversations.
And it kind of furthering that point. It was great having like Jason Davies came onto our project a little bit later. I had pretty much already done all the BIM coordination. We were up through like 15 or 16. You know, we had the BIM sign off documents. There were like 6 or 7 issues that we know or we were going to come up to in the field. And he had just gotten off of helping close out the Quincy, which is also on Rainy Street, and came in with a lot of knowledge on why'd you do it this way? Why don't we do this? Why don't, like, you know, if we move this thing over here, you know, we don't have to do that big long duct run. And sometimes you're just looking at something for so long, you can't picture it any other way. So always getting a fresh set of eyes on it is always helpful.
Definitely. You brought up something interesting. I'm curious to hear from you about. You mentioned the Quincy being over on Rainy Street, and then Cambria is over on Rainy as well. What are some of the kind of unique challenges you've run into building on Rainy Street?
Yeah. So parking is what difficult for the subs. We have no parking. Some of the subs pay for. There's a finished hotel, the Homewood Suites on Rainy Street, that we park in. Some of the subs, some of the trade partners were able to get in there early. Like our concrete, the people who did our concrete did the building next to us. There are 4 projects going on that street right now off of I-35. It's a mess. Not really. We keep it clean. So
Logistically a mess. Not literally
logistically a mess. It's
Close.
actually very clean. So where was I going with that?
Building on Rainy Street.
Building
a lot
on
of
Rainy
projects.
Street. So yeah, parking is the number kind of biggest thing when guys first show up is where am I going to park? The next thing is deliveries. So we've contracted our covered walkway in a way to successfully get in 18 wheelers. That was Javier Rojas's brainchild, and he did a really good job with that. Material. I've been really impressed with how smoothly deliveries have been able to come in and out. All 4 projects notify each other of deliveries and road work. We had to coordinate road work with the GC directly next to us because you got to tie in the civil water line together. Everyone on that street had to demo their section of a 6-inch city water line and upgrade it with a 12-inch water line because got 2 45-story condos going in, and we are one of 2 17-story hotels going in. And before, that whole street was like a Mediterranean restaurant and like maybe a gas station. So
I remember Rainy Street being like someone's house, and they had a kegerator in there. And you'd walk in and be like, "Yeah, man, $3 for a Lone Star." I was like, "Deal, I'm in."
Nope, now that Lone Star's 7. Unfortunately.
Oh, that is wild though. You don't think about all those little things like going from a 6-inch main to a 12-inch main. That's huge.
Yeah, and the way the way we had to install and the way it was on our plans, because you can't take out the water before you've reinstalled the new one, right? So the way it was on the plan is you had the existing 6-inch line. Okay, well then you got to build your 12-inch line. You have to build that 12-inch line, get it tested, run it through the city of Austin, have the inspector show up and everything, and then you're able to demo the 6-inch line. So how am I 4 feet underground going to demo this 6-inch line that is now covered up by something twice as big? So we had to redirect it and everything. We got with the project next to us because now everything wasn't tying in. We were both writing RFIs. So I wrote an RFI with their QM equivalent to basically show both of our individual civil engineers like, hey, this is what the guy's doing across the street. This is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to tie in. And everyone's like, okay, cool, get it.
Man, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's there's certainly competitive nature amongst GCs and all that,
Yeah.
but there also doesn't seem to be a shortage of work in Austin.
No, everyone's trying to be on time. Like,
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing you can do as a GC is in budget, on time, and you're not nobody on that street is going to be successful if everyone starts kind of puffing their chest and acting a fool, so to speak.
Do you think that's kind of a special factor, if you will, in the hospitality market, or kind of what do you see some differences in the hospitality market from the rest of or some of the other things the RO builds?
Yeah, so I think it's really cool that I've really only done hospitality. I've done Perry Mansion, which was the restoration of a 10-acre site, 100-year-old mansion, 50. Yeah, you remember? You were on that one. 50-year or 75-year-old chapel, and then the high rise in West Campus, student apartments, 17 stories, 150, 170 units, something like that. Bunch of like 500 bedrooms. We had townhouses. We had, so there were 6 bedrooms in some room. Like it was 500 people, and they were moving in August 13th, or we were buying hotel rooms for them. And then now Cambria, it's again 17-story, 212 units, kings, double queen suites, and stuff like that. All of that to say, I've never done a data center. I was only an intern at a church and a school before, so really what I know most is hospitality. And it's to me, it's an interesting, sector of our business, being that you're basically building someone's home for a year or 2 days. So a lot of thought goes into it, and you want to make the best product possible because, there are Yelp reviews, there are Google reviews. Like someone's going to walk into that building and be like, this is I stay at this hotel every single time I come into Austin. Like some college kid in West Campus is going to be like, me and my boys had the best time of our lives, like living in, 1202, at Muse, or I forgot what they call it. I forgot what they called 2020 after they named it. But yeah, so you kind of realize like, oh, I'm building someone's home, whether it's for a weekend or for a year, and so just that much more detail kind of goes into the finishes. Kind of like we were saying with the HVAC, like you want to make sure it's comfortable for people, and you're not just throwing stuff into oh, I need a wall outlet there. Well, you know what? I know for a fact that the couch is going to go over there. Where would I want to put my iPhone charger? Like, where you want to make things accessible for people to make it comfortable to live. You don't just want to haphazardly go in and like, oh, I see I have got 4 outlets and 4 walls. They need to be 12-foot spacing, so I'm just going to put them equal distance from everything. And all of a sudden, the furniture gets moved in. One's behind the bed. The other one's like literally on the pole of the desk, and they're unusable. So it's kind of my hospitality shtick.
Oh, man, I love it. I think there's definitely some quotable moments in there.
Yeah.
The care that you bring into those projects is phenomenal too. I know that if I were staying at a hotel or moving into an apartment or whatever, I would want somebody thinking about those things.
Yeah.
Because I've lived in terrible apartments where every outlet is behind
I can't go in
furniture or whatever.
I can't go into an apartment complex in Austin anymore without being like, who put that there? Why'd they do that?
Just not
Or like,
thinking.
and then it's funny enough, like my buddy lives in a building with exposed ceiling, so you can see the ductwork and stuff, and you can see the beams. So sometimes you do notice like, oh, they literally couldn't get over there. Like that would have put the duct at, you would have had a big 24-inch beam with a 12-inch duct underneath it. That looks ridiculous. Don't do that. So yeah, that's a little bit of a hot spot.
Yeah, you end up not being able to ignore those types of things.
Yeah.
We only have 23 minutes left. This is flying by. Going back to Ole Miss, there's something called the Grove.
The Grove.
Could you tell me what your most notable experience that is YouTube live stream safe?
Yeah, for
at
work.
Grove was
For work and
For
that
work, yes.
and that I can remember. So first Grove as a student, I was walking to the Grove with my cousin and her boyfriend at the time, and ran into a girl that I had met the night before, and it turns out that she's now my wife. And that was the first time where
I got nervous for a second.
I know,
there.
right? My buddy kind of nudged me and he was like, "You met her, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, she was cool." It's like, "Yeah, you should like ask her out sometime." I was like, "I think I will." Asked her out like probably 3-4 weeks later, and that was it. Haven't dated anyone since.
Wow.
So
yeah.
that's the most YouTube friendly Grove experience.
And I think too that's probably a very notable one.
Yeah.
The rest of your life has been with her. The last, what has that been now? Like
7
7 8
years,
years?
yeah.
7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. That's
you.
incredible.
Appreciate it.
And I don't think we ever really touched on it. What is your current role at RO?
So I got promoted to assistant superintendent in December.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So my role really hasn't changed at Cambria. I'm really still the QM on the project. Doing a lot of. There aren't any more submittals to do. There are a couple finish stuff here or there, but we're letting the project engineer take care of those. Writing a lot of RFIs. Since I did so much, our Cambria is structured a little differently than what I was used to at the West Campus jobs. We have at the West Campus job, we had Trey Stewart, who was the head super, Mitch Forsythe, who was the MEP assistant super, Luis Valdez did concrete, who was the assistant super. He did concrete and then did finishes. So really 3 supers on the whole job, and you had a bunch of QMs and OEs doing all of the submittals and then running schedules and all the punch work for whatever their sector was. So like Sam Struhall did all the skin, Carter Snape did all the concrete and kind of specialty finishes like steel and stuff like that. And I did everything sheetrock in. Charlie Lamping did all the MEP stuff. So, you had, what was that, four or five QMs, running all that, everything, every single submittal, every single RFI for that sector of the building was run through one person. The schedule was run through that person. And you you go get it done like any other construction project. At Cambria, it's a little different. We have like 4 supers. It's Javier Rojas, who's the head super, Jason Aries, Jason Davies, Daniel Flores, Aldo Sandoval is the MEP superintendent, who's been awesome. I would not understand anything about electrical if it wasn't for Aldo. But so that's a lot of supers, and they're more in the scheduling aspect, pushing the work and everything. Where I'm really my life is submittals and RFIs and coordination. I'm doing stuff on paper, on the computer, coordinating, the various trades and printing out field use documents for those guys and having them, run the stuff. When an issue arises, I go out to the field, help them out with it. That pipe's not in the right place, stuff like that. So it's a little different, but I kind of forgot what the question was.
I was just wondering what your current role was.
Current role, still
super would have been fine.
Assistant super, but yeah, still a QM basically. So yeah, really just pumping out submittals, RFIs, and coordinated documents.
What was that about?
Long story short,
being verbose.
I can go.
I'm curious to hear why. I'm assuming as a QM, you kind of had the option of either going project management type of route or a superintendent type of route. What made you choose to go that superintendent route?
Yeah, definitely thought I was going to, when I first started on, definitely thought I was going to go project manager route, and just like you hear with any assistant super or superintendent, once they got out in the field and saw the coordination of activities and pushing a schedule, you get the bug. It bites you, and you're like, I like this. I like being in charge. I like, kind of like Bruno was talking about, like, I like coaching people, pump up speeches. We can do this. Like, let's go get it done. So I just kind of naturally, rolled into it. It didn't took a year and a half. And once I kind of actually figured out what I was doing and what I liked about the job, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go the superintendent route.
What would you, for those that are out there that are PEs or QMs and coming upon that decision in the future, what kind of advice would you give them as far as making that decision?
Got to do what's best for you. I think if you're a PE or a QM and you're already on a job site, seeing how things are structured, definitely. I mean, who do you look up to on the job site? Why do you enjoy working for that person? What is it about their job that you're a little envious of? Why would you eventually want to be that person? And just follow your instincts. I don't think, if you're working for some project manager and you're like, man, that guy's just behind a desk all day, just crunching numbers, spreadsheets like this. That is so boring. But I want to be a project manager. Okay, wait, I don't think that's for you then. If you're also the guy that's out at the same time that you're saying that to yourself, you're in the field, liking the coordination of all the work and pushing a schedule and stuff.
So don't,
QMs and PEs, just look at your project and where would you want to be in 5 years, really.
Don't go chasing titles. Look at what the people are actually doing and see what aligns with your desires.
Yeah, go do what you like. Don't just do something for a title, for sure.
So who would you consider have been that influence on you here at RO?
How much time do we have?
Literally 16 minutes.
16 minutes.
I'll let you talk as long as you want.
Okay.
No one will be here.
I wanted to give a lot of shout outs.
Take your time.
First project was under Lacey Williamson, who she knows your to-do list better than you know it yourself. Really taught me how detailed, a construction worker needs to be. The right way to do stuff. She's smart, detailed, organized, all things that I am not. So really someone to look up to and just try to, if I can get a little bit of that, I'm just going to be all right. Andrew Smith was huge in boosting my confidence, running that finish sequence at Noasis. Smith was really, instrumental in you're my interiors guy, man. I've seen how hard you've been working on these submittals and these RFIs. You got it. I'm leaving it up to you. You let me know if someone's not performing, or you're jumping up and down calling their VP, because I don't care. I'll call your VP if you're not performing. If that guy's not even listening, let me know. I'll come swing the bigger stick. Like, that's what I'm here for. But like, you run the show, you got it. So puff my chest out a little bit. Like, Smith thinks I got it, I definitely have it. And then Trey Stewart, showing me the energy needed every single day to do that.
Well, he's got a lot of it, doesn't he?
Getting called at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, AC/DC blaring, like, let's go, wake up, like, let's go build something, So yeah, and all the other superintendents and assistants, everyone I've worked with has been really instrumental in my growth, as I think any PE or QM would say. Like, look, we come in as multiple balls. You got to be a multiple ball of clay when you come in. You got to figure out where you fit on that job site and where best you can help. So those people kind of molding you into what they need, and you eventually figuring out, like, hey, this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm gonna do. Just helps projects out.
I think 99% of the time in alternate universes, Trey Stewart is the world's best drill sergeant.
Probably.
And we got him the 1% of the time. He said, I'm going to go do construction.
Yep.
We'll have him on here one of these days, and we'll have to inquire onto that.
That'll be a fun one. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have to warm up the mute button for sure.
I'm surprised it hasn't been used for me yet.
Hey, you're doing great.
I'm doing great.
On that note, I think we had Mr. Paul Cervanka. Am I saying that correctly?
Oh, Paul, my brother-in-law.
Okay, I didn't know if his father-in-law. He gave you a shout out there on the channel. So
thank you, Paul.
You've got some fans out there.
Sweet.
Let's see you get a little vulnerable here. What's the biggest mistake you've made on a job site?
Okay. This is funny because I know the answer to this.
Oh,
once I tell it, Bruno's shouting in the back. Okay, so one, you don't make mistakes on job sites. There are learning experiences. I've had a lot of learning experiences at my time in RO.
Did this one involve something people would jump into?
Yes.
Okay.
I
do know what you're talking about.
So long story short, before I get to the long story, they put the pool rebar in backwards at Perry. Sounds terrible if I was checking the rebar for the 2 days that it took them. But what happened is I'm 23 years old, fresh OE, fresh out of college. We're building the pool. Pool guy comes in. Zach, I've been building pools for 30 years. You don't got to worry about me. I do this in my sleep. I'm like, sweet, check that off the list. I don't have to check that guy's stuff. Like, that guy knew what he was doing. Damn. Me and Lacey it's 5 o'clock. We're both walking to our cars, just chit-chatting about the day. She's telling me about my to-do list. And she kind of peeks over and she goes, Zach, like, she looks at it for 2 seconds. She goes, Zach, look at the pool. I look over, I'm like, oh no. She's like, yeah, you need to do something. So I immediately grabbed the phone, called a trade partner. He's like, Zach, what's up? I'm like, man, you put the pool in backwards. He's like, what do you mean backwards? I'm like, the bench is on the wrong side. You have the bench pointed out to Red River instead of pointed to the 100-year-old mansion that we're spending millions and millions of dollars on refurbishing. Who wants to look at the street? He's like, no way. No, I did not do that. I'm like, cancel the gun because they were going to pour it the next day. It was going to be so bad. So it didn't turn out that bad. But yeah, so I'm like, cancel the gun. You're not pouring this. I'll see you at 7 a.m. So he comes in at 7 a.m. He's like, look, no, it's in per plan. I take the sheet, flip it over. I'm like, that's how it's supposed to be. Oh my God. He was sweating, worried about cost. And so I was like, you put it in backwards, redo it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was, so for all the OEs, Ps, QMs out there, if anyone ever comes and tells you that they've been doing it for 30 years and that you don't need to check their stuff, run to their stuff. Run and check it, because that guy is going to make mistakes.
Oh, brother, I do remember that. As soon as I thought about it, I was like, "Oh, I know exactly."
I'll still meet people for the first time at like happy hours here. Say like, "Hey, Zach Coker." They're like, Are you the one that put the pool in backwards? I'm like, ah, damn it. That story will follow me forever.
This will only further perpetuate the
Yeah,
legacy.
now it's on the internet forever.
Forever. Yeah, we
Forever.
don't take these down. We don't edit them either. On a happier note, we only have 10 minutes left. This went by way too quick. If you had $100 million, no strings attached. This isn't, so, you got to pay half of it in taxes. What are you doing?
Really lame answer. I'm probably buying some property around Austin, like different properties, renting them out, passive income, and go buy a
Quincy? You have $100 million. What are you
know.
buying?
But I'm also gonna buy a beach house in, like, I don't know, LA for the wife, and then down in the Bahamas and just chill forever.
I find that hard to believe. You would. I could see you taking about 4 months off and then absolutely losing your mind. You'd be over here begging for an internship. You're like, guys, what do you need? Like, I'll sweep slabs. I'll hang hardy. Like, what do you need?
I think I could run a bar.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I could run a restaurant. I like cooking. I got a bunch of my wife's friends got me a 36-inch Blackstone for the wedding, and we're having people over on Thursday, and I'm doing burgers. It's supposed to rain, so we might just do pizza. But I've been whipping up on that thing constantly. So yeah, like a bar and restaurant down in the Bahamas, I could do that.
I am so disappointed in myself right now because I spend, like, before these, I spend a good, like, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, like, looking into the person. I try and find as much information as I legally can about you on the internet. And I came across your wedding registry. And on there were a ton of cooking things.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, did your wife put this all together? I was like, oh, like grill stuff and outdoor. Like, so I thought about, there was a particular, I think it was like a silicon coated pan or something like that on there. It looked like it was for pizzas or something.
Yeah.
I thought about asking you about that. And I thought, you know what?
I really like, I'm not a big I'll eventually get into smoking, like smokers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah. Preface that. Eventually get into smoking meats. Yeah, smoking. It'd be really cool to, like, weld my own smoker together and everything. But right now, I'm just big grill guy. The hibachi is sweet. Lots of stir fry. We sous vide some steaks, threw them on that.
Love the sous vide. That's the only way to go if you're making a steak.
It's really fun. What else have I done? Philly cheesesteaks, burgers, fajitas. You make a really mean, like, gourmet grilled cheese. I bought like 8 different kinds of cheese, a couple different cuts of bacon, ham, and, like, it was just me and Kelly that night. So we each ate like 4 grilled cheeses, and then we looked at each other like, so diet starts tomorrow? Yeah, diet starts tomorrow. Oh, yeah.
Salads tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nothing but leafy greens.
Yeah.
That's funny. Man, I've got a Blackstone myself, and that was money well spent.
It's so sick. I love it.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
My dad's jealous of it. I always send him pictures, and he's always like, okay. I'm like, come to town, come on. He's just up in Dallas doing his thing.
Just around the corner. I mean,
it's easy. It is nice living, being so close to home. Just I drive up all the time for various family functions and stuff.
They ever come down here to see you? Sounds like not often enough. Is this a quiet plea for help to your dad?
No. So, cool thing about it. So my brother, the most fun I've had on a project was Noasis. It was a bunch of young guys building that building. Carter Snape and I lived together during that time. So, you know, getting off the jobs, we'd go up to each other at like 3:00, like subs are starting to leave, and it'd be a beautiful day out. And we had a system down. I was like, okay, are we going paddleboarding today? So because we lived right on Lake Austin. So we had it down to a T. It took us 21 minutes to leave the job site. I'd go to the gas station, pick up beer. He would go straight to the house and start pulling the paddle boards out. I'd get ice. And in 21 minutes, me and him were in bathing suits walking down to the lake. And my brother was working at Rogers O'Brien in Dallas, and they sent him down to Austin because we needed an extra hand finishing the building. So they sent Sterling down, and Sterling started working for us. And he worked for me, basically. He was like one of my finish guys. So I put him on both of the amenity levels, and he kind of, I ran the schedule and everything, but he was just on the floor every day, making sure stuff was getting done on time. And that was the most fun I ever had on a project, working with my brother, working with the guy I lived with. Strew Hall was over all the time too. It was a blast.
Man, that sounds awesome.
So no, my family comes down a lot.
Yeah. This whole verbose thing. It keeps coming back.
I'm sorry. I'm excited.
No,
I can talk.
I love it. I love it. I love the excitement. I think that's. I can't find anyone to say anything bad about you. I've tried. Trust me. But I think that excitement that you bring to whatever you're doing, whether it's cooking up some grilled cheese Sammys, or if it's out building a project, cranking out interiors, or getting folks motivated to go pour some concrete at 3 a.m, or whatever it is. I can see why people gravitate towards you and want to do projects with you, want to build great things with you.
Appreciate that, man.
That's you're have a magnetic personality. So
Thank you.
keep finding ways to leverage that to your advantage. And
I'd really try.
it seems you're doing great so far. You made your way on here.
Appreciate it.
I think we've got time for just a couple more questions here.
Shoot.
What's something you often disagree with people on?
Okay. So back to the, how do I say this? So I'm so in the weeds, right? Like doing submittals, RFIs, doing all the coordination and stuff. The last project, Noasis, I'm still the one running the schedule and everything. No one's really telling me like, no, let's not do it that way. Let's do it this way. Sometimes it kind of hurts when you've been working, like, you're taking a submittal that you did 6 months ago. You had to do it right then and there because it's got a 4-month lead time, showing up to the site right when it needs to happen and everything. Okay, everything's perfect. I figured it all out. This is where it's going in, blah, blah, blah. Someone comes up to you and says, nah, we're not going to do it that way. Or you go up and check it like a day after it got installed and it's all different. I'm like, hard hat thrown on the ground. What is this? What are we doing here? Who said to do this? And someone said, oh, well, I thought it'd be better to do this. I'm the one that worked. Did you do all the work for it? Like what? Where do you get off trying to change my stuff? So it's kind of a double-edged sword with the pride in the work thing. Like, I think I'm right. I'm not right sometimes. Like John and Glada can tell you a lot of things I've been wrong on this current project. So it's a good and a bad thing. But yeah, sometimes I just need to be a little bit more susceptible to critiques or, someone that's more experienced wanting to do it a different way because they probably have their reasons.
Something I think we could all do a little bit better, a little more empathy.
Yeah.
One last question for you before we cut out of here.
For sure.
If you had to give young Zach some advice, what would you tell him?
Don't take the learning experiences too hard. The mistakes. I have a horrible habit of, you do all that work, you go to put it in, and it's like day one, they're working on something for 3 hours. It's not going to work. I'm like, oh man, how did I not see it? And it's right there on the page. You're like, how did I not see that? This whole page is just marked in green. I've bled over it and everything. And the one thing that doesn't have a comment on is what you stub your toe on. And I do a bad job of not quickly pivoting and correcting the action, no matter what the cost is, the timeline, what does need to happen to fix it. I will drag my feet sometimes being like, please fix itself, please fix it. It never fixes itself. It never does. So yeah, something I tell myself today and would like to tell myself 5 years ago is don't sweat it. Like, you run into an issue, it's why they pay you. You work for a GC. You are paid to be a problem solver and to fix issues. Sometimes the issues are ones that you created yourself, and those are the hardest ones to get over. It's easy, like when the architect made a plan that you can't follow, or the engineer did something that's not feasible. Like it's easy to be like, oh well, hey, let me jump on this and fix it. And you can fix it in 2-3 hours. Send the RFI in. I can do the same thing when I'm the one that made the mistake, but sometimes the ego gets in the way. The hurt of, oh my God, I spent so much time on this. Like, how'd you not see that? And then you exacerbate the issue. You lose more time, and time's not something we can sweat here.
That is all we have time for. It is 2:00. Just
Wonderful.
real quick, you did get, I'm sure I'm going to miss some folks here, but Ryan Metz, Will Fisher, Jimmy Schwartz, Chloe Bush,
Oh, damn.
John McFadden, all gave you a shout out here.
Thank you guys.
Got a lot of folks cheering for you, Zach.
Appreciate it, y'all.
And to everyone that joined us, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll have it out on Apple and Spotify later today. We're getting that turnaround time dialed in finally. It took us a bit of learning, but we're getting there. Next week we will have AJ Alvarez coming on, representative from the safety department out of San Antonio, I believe. So that'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. Thank you all. We'll talk to you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, James.